Hello, everyone. How are you this evening? So I'm Sean Pierce, doing the discussion debate on the assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, and was it a positive or negative for national security in the Middle East? In my case, I do think the assassination of General Soleimani was a positive for national security in the Middle East. Now, why do I think that? First, just a little clarification on his background. We've learned a lot about national security recently, so I think probably a lot of our mindsets have changed. Maybe not mindsets, but we've had different thoughts and been able to think a little more critically about things that go on both within the United States as well as within other countries. But for a positive in this particular case for U.S. national security, I did want to clarify that. That's one of the reasons I brought that up. Is we do tend to think U.S. centric for the most part, since we are U.S. based. So that's why I do think that's a positive in our particular case. So with that U.S. centric mindset, that was a positive for national security from our standpoint. A couple of reasons that I think that. So just a little background on the general. He was a commander of the Quds Force. I think I'm pronouncing that right. That was a division of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and their responsibility dealt with extraterritorial and clandestine military operations. So, they did a lot of stuff outside of country in a lot of cases. Post 9/11, he was directed to cooperate with the United States to hunt down or to fight the Taliban, I should say, in Afghanistan. So in some ways that was a good thing. However, after that, he also provided, I say provided, especially on the past tense, but he did provide assistance to Hezbollah based out of Lebanon, which, while is also the leadership group, I guess you could say, out of Lebanon, is also considered a terrorist organization, at least from a United States standpoint. As such, while he was very popular as the general and as a leader, he was probably the second most popular person next to the Ayatollah there in Iran. He was sanctioned both by the UN as well as the EU, the European Union. And in 2005, like I'd mentioned, he was designated as a terrorist by the United States. I did want to bring that up just a little bit, just to look at a little bit of history on why I chose that. I thought that was a positive, at least from a U.S. national security standpoint. Excuse me. So why I think it's positive, however, so leading up to that drone strike that killed him, there had been an increase in Iranian attacks on American assets and U.S. interests. From a U.S. standpoint, that's definitely a national security issue. That's included a multitude of things, but primarily in relation to U.S. Or in relation to military and similar types of things. And for that, that's one reason I think that was a positive from our particular case for removing him. And another one, like I'd mentioned before, he is or was a supporter of Hezbollah, which is considered a terrorist organization by, of course, the United States and the European Union. It's also considered that with a lot of countries within the the Arab League, and they. Granted, some of them are, countries like Iran and Iraq and other ones, but the fact that even multiple members, a majority of the members of the Arab League in that particular area in the Middle East, felt the same, as far as, his support for Hezbollah. To me, that poses a huge national security risk for the United States as well as surrounding countries. So again, that goes back to the interests that we have, we being the United States, in relation to that. So in some ways that could be a separate issue, but I do think that blends into what's going on here, or what was going on, I should say, in relation to how that affected the United States and how that affected our forces that, at that point in time, especially in Afghanistan, were still there, for example. So for me, that's where I stand, at least as far as where I think it was a positive for U.S.-based national security. I do clarify that. I did like to clarify that just because, when you don't look at it from a U.S.-centric, that might be a completely different standpoint. So thank you very much for listening. I appreciate your time, and look forward to any rebuttals that anyone has. Thank you.